You see him on the news.
CNN.com contributor, Dean Obeidallah. So, Dean...
Watch him at comedy clubs.
When I say Mecca, do you think of a holy place or an urban clothing line?
Read his articles. And you hear him on the radio. The Dean Obeidallah Show is on live right here on SiriusXM Progress, Channel 127.
And welcome back, Dean Obeidallah Show, Monday, March 18th. And in studio, this is a treat. Not just one Moodie-Mill, but two. That's what I give you. Not one, folks. Two Moodie-Mills. Maybe one day 3 or 4. We got Aisha Moodie-Mills is here, political strategist, and you know her from Harvard Kennedy School now. She's a fellow over there. And, of course, Danielle Moodie-Mills, host of Woke AF on this very channel every Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and Warrior Princess of the Resistance. Aisha, what is your position in the Resistance? She's the Warrior Princess. What are you? Are you also a princess?
I guess so. I'm just her wife.
That's not what you are. You define more than that.
I am maintaining the Warrior Princess of the Resistance because she needs her strength.
True.
If y'all are listening on Sunday mornings, she be going ham, and I just make sure that she is sane.
If one of you ran for president and the other spouse sat there, would you talk? Or would you be like Beto O'Rourke's wife and just sit there and sigh?
I don't think that you would be able to shut us up. And I think at some point, the person that was doing the interview would say, which one of you is running again?
Right.
That's right.
I think that's what that would look like.
It was, it's interesting. It's been a hard weekend. And I saw, thank you both. They both emailed me independently of each other,
Yes.
offering support, which I told people, when I first got the emails from people and friends and on Twitter, it was nice, but then it actually meant something more than I thought as the day went on, because I didn't realize the emotional toll it was going to take, and the frustration, the pain. And my fiance, she's Palestinian, she's Muslim. She goes, "Why does this affect you personally?" And I go, "I don't know, but I feel intertwined with not just Muslims around the world, but I feel a connection with other minorities, but obviously other Muslims too." And I've warned people this was going to happen in the United States. And I know we're going to have it here at some point because of the plots that have been thwarted right before actually happening to kill Muslims. So it was so heartbreaking. So it meant a lot to me that you did that. And for me, going on cable news this week turned out to be more cathartic than I thought, because I got to vent at Trump about it. So let's talk about the big question here. And I won't give you my bottom line, though. What is Donald Trump tweets all weekend making fun of John McCain, an SNL repeat. It was not even the original show. It was a repeat he lashed out against.
But he has tons of time.
Right.
So he's deep in reruns. So
and
that's
everything
what he's
else,
doing.
but not white supremacy and not white supremacist terrorism. He will never tweet about it. He'll
Yeah.
slam Liz Warren and Hillary Clinton, but never David Duke. And there's a reason we know. What is your reason? What's your rationale for why does he do it?
I mean, I would say that, one, Trump has a ton of time on his hands, right? Like he spends, 65% of his time in executive time. So, and I use quotation for the people who are not live, for the people who are not on live stream. That was a quotation. But I think that he doesn't, it would be like condemning your friends, right? So why would he condemn David Duke? Why would he condemn Steve Bannon, Steve King? Like, why would he say anything that would upset the apple cart? But I will say today, what actually kind of drove me over the edge, and for those people that listen to my show on Sundays, they know that I live on the edge. But what literally drove me over the cliff, like the Roadrunner, was when Kellyanne Conway was just like, well, basically telling people to read the full manifesto of the New Zealand white supremacists, so that they could understand the context that he was talking about Trump, that Trump did not lead him to do to commit these acts. And I was like, in what effing world, because I won't curse on your show because I curse on my own.
You can curse.
But I was like, in what world would a White House advisor, a member of a president's administration, go on national television and tell someone to read the manifesto of a terrorist, a captured terrorist, just so you could understand for context? And what I said in my tweet today was that was not a dog. I said they used to be low-key white supremacists and like low-key racist, but that was like a complete and total indoctrination of saying to folks who are on the edge, because we know that his followers, Trump's followers and base supporters, they are on that edge. that they would then read this manifesto and feel exalted by it. And so I was like, in what world did that not make all the friggin' headlines today?
By the way, Aisha, someone just put on Facebook, weren't you just on Hardball?
I was.
Dana
I
said that.
was.
And
She's
you-
slippery, y'all.
She was
She's
just
slippery.
She was. So I was just sharing the thing. So your view, Aisha. Why do you think? Is it just about the base? Is there something else going on?
Well, yeah, I think it's both. I mean, Donald Trump has been a known racist since the beginning of time, right? And all of the things that he has done with his own business in terms of like trying to gyp African Americans in the way that he did with not wanting them to like be able to rent his places, the way that he put out a full page ad essentially with the Central Park Five saying go round these black guys up even though they were innocent. I mean, the guy is clearly a racist. He's always been a racist, and that's just the truth. I think though it is real that this is his base. Yeah. And Donald Trump loves nothing more than adoration. And he knows the people who adore him. And he's not going to say, please stop adoring me, right? He's not going to say, yo, I know that you are a really horrible, horrific person. I don't want to be associated with you, David Duke, or white supremacists. Even though people are citing him and quoting him and championing him and saying, thank God for this president because he's allowing us to like be free. He's never going to put that away because he's a narcissist. And he's like, I love all this attention. I love that these people follow me. I love the adoration. And the problem with that, I mean, there's so many problems with that, right? The thing about it, though, that I think is going to bite him in the ass is that this is not sustainable. Knock on wood, pray about it, because I don't believe that it is sustainable. I think that it might be cute for him in the moment. To have all these completely crazy, horrific, horrible people following him around. But the truth is that those of us who are outside of Trump's crazy head are starting to make more and more noise saying, FBI, you know that these crazy white men are the greatest terrorist threat to the United States of America. You put out a report, the FBI put out a report last year saying, and they tried to do the Obama administration too, but they put one out last year saying.
You remember that Janet Napolitano, I just realized
she
it today.
She
was forced to apologize.
Yep.
I did
She
not
apologized
realize.
for it.
Like I had to remember that today when I was going back and reading the articles, and I was just like,
so guys, what happened is the FBI has been
tell
tracking this for many years. So back in like the late 2000s, the FBI under the Obama administration was like, hey guys, white supremacists are on the rise
And
in the wake of this black president, and white ring terror are on the rise. We're going to need to do something about this. And so Janet Napolitano, who was the head of Homeland Security, came out with a statement around it and got completely slammed because, you know,
so bad.
God forbid white people face the fact that they're crazy, right? So here we are again. And I don't think that there's a stomach for this anymore. I think that white people are like, look, we don't want to be associated with this foolishness. I think there's just more noise. And so what's going to happen, I'm hopeful, is that the appetite for this going into 2020 is not going to be...
The appetite is high.
It's not going to be as high as Donald Trump needs it to be, and that he's going to lose. That's what I'm hoping.
But I think that the appetite for people wanting to understand like why white supremacy is on the rise, because I will tell you guys today that in my tweets, like white folks were coming out and they're just like, this needs to be researched. Like we need to understand because this is actually happening.
What? White supremacy?
Yes, that like all of the efforts and billions of dollars that we are spending on researching and understanding how to contain Islamic terror threats, like we need to be putting that amount of money in the rise of domestic terrorism and white supremacy. And that's what, and
Leave
white people, and I'm telling you,
alone.
white people in my Twitter thread today were like, this is unacceptable. It's unacceptable that our FBI and our CIA are clearly not coordinating with other intelligence agencies around the world to understand this global growing threat, because it is happening all over Europe. It is happening in Australia.
White
it's
men don't
in New
ever want to
Zealand.
check themselves. I mean, that's what this all boils down to. White men have been pillaging and raping and killing people off throughout the world since the beginning of time. And it is going to take a lot before they say, you know what, we need to investigate ourselves and understand that there is a type. The boys
There
and
is
the
a
men,
type.
the boys and the men who are running around shooting up people who are minding their business, praying in this country and around the world are a certain type of white man between a certain age that is radicalized by a
25 and
certain set of
45.
values, right? And until we get to a place where white men look at each other and say there's something going on here, then like nothing's going to happen. And I think that white guys are going to start to see that this is crazy because they have daughters, right? And they have wives and they have children that go to schools.
But that's why they support white supremacy. Not all white men. We're talking about the subset that does that to keep them safe, to keep their families safe from the threat of the black man. I mean, that's the origin so much of white supremacy in this country. First slavery, but then later
Jim Crow.
The threat
And
of black
laws.
men going to take our white women. And that was so much. But here's the thing. Let me ask you a question. I saw Danielle yesterday in the green room at MSNBC, and the anchor just asked someone else from a Muslim group, do you think Donald Trump's a white supremacist? Is that worthwhile for anchor? I have nothing against him asking it, but to me, I'm like, wasn't there something better that you could say than this glossary statement as opposed to, hey, here is what, as opposed to having a debate over it going, can't we have anchors just come out and go, Donald Trump's a white supremacist? Why can't they just objectively say he's a white supremacist? Objectively, here's the list of things
the
he's
white
done.
supremacists think he's a white supremacist.
It's the same reason why they don't call what he says lies, and instead that they use euphemisms for that. Let's talk about Donald Trump's falsehoods. Let's talk about
because they're afraid of being sued. So everybody's afraid of being sued for libel, right? Because we're a litigious society, and so they're
they
like,
want to lose the right wing people.
But the man is a self-proclaimed nationalist, right? And he is white. He's a self-proclaimed nationalist, and he's white.
Facts.
So I'm about those hashtag facts. So my thing is that instead of wasting good ink and good breath on asking questions that we already know the friggin' answer to.
That's my
that
point.
we might as well what we should be asking ourselves is how is it that New Zealand, after 10 days of a mass shooting, can institute policies and laws to change their gun laws in 10 days?
3 days.
3 days.
But oh yes, I know. But she just announced that within 10 days
they will have it on the books.
That they will have it on the books.
It's remarkable,
I said today in Twitter, I said, oh my God. And I don't mean this sarcastically, and I'm not kidding. I literally had no idea government could work like that. But it's not a joke. I literally, in my late 30 years, y'all don't need to know my full age, but in my late 30 years, I had no idea that government could work that fast.
You didn't remember after 9/11 how fast they passed the Patriot Act. I mean, there's certain times that things happen when they're doing, when there's a Brown threat. It's remarkable how things move so quickly. To me, Donald Trump, I mean, a lot of people are like he's playing to his base, and I think that's partly true. I also think what you guys hit on is the truth. Donald Trump is a white supremacist. It's not that this is his base. This is who he feels comfortable with.
Yes.
And the idea of saying a litany of things that I've written about and talked about on the show, from building a wall to ending chain migration, which comes right from white supremacist literature. That's what that's the term academics used in the 60s, but I wrote about it. When it became weaponized politically, it was a white supremacist term, ending chain migration. It's what they wanted. To the idea of calling black people low intelligence, low IQ, and dumb and unintelligent. That comes from white supremacist literature, that they are
inferior.
Mentally, they are superior, and black people are inherently...
Which is why you need
so we
to
know
have
he
this,
studied
you need
Hitler.
to have this paternalistic relationship with the black community, because they need to be led, right? Because if left to their own devices, these horrible savages would never be able to find their ways out of a paper bag. But lo and behold, we know that that is not the truth. And when in fact we do rise and are able to overcome the systemic barriers and obstacles that were purposefully put in our place, then it is incumbent upon those in power to try and circumvent and move around our power, or try and kill our leaders, just for lack of even that term. Just go directly to, oh, that person Stokely Carmichael, that person Malcolm X, that person Martin Luther King, that person. They seem like they are galvanizing the people. The Black Panther Party.
Speaking of which, you actually bring up a
things.
good point about COINTELPRO, which was this undercover operation to essentially, for the government, the FBI, went after on a witch hunt the leaders of the civil rights movement during the 60s. And they came for them under some BS guise of like, oh, they're all just communists who are out to destroy America. But in fact, we're trying to get free and seeking liberty and seeking justice under our democracy. And there was a whole counterintelligence program aimed at literally taking out those African American leaders, some of whom died which we, mysteriously under this, that COINTELPRO then moved into later on in the 90s, you had the government flooding black communities with crack as a way to, again, destabilize black communities because this is what the government does. Why don't we have a COINTELPRO going into certain types of very radicalized, right-wing, white communities where the FBI is implanting itself and coming up with programs to covertly go in and seek out, hunt down, and destabilize these movements that are happening. That would be the real.
The Moodie-Mills. I'm just a fan here.
This is your show, Dean.
No. This is more fun. I like this much more because I'm learning from you guys more, and I also love your passion. Both of you guys are remarkably passionate. So let's take a quick break. We're going to come back and talk about something that I said, and 2 out of 3 anchors I said it to had a weird look on my face, including the MSNBC anchor, who's a nice guy, about between now and 2020, Trump's going to escalate the violence, and it's going to get really ugly and dangerous. And they're like, that's not on our media narrative yet. We're not allowed to talk about that. But the other anchors was like, yeah, you're right. So let's come back and talk about where do we think we're going between now and November 3rd, 2020? What will Donald Trump do to stay in power? And I'll play just one clip from 2016, a 10-second clip, which to me sums up so much and where we're heading. So let's come right back after this.
You're listening to the Dean Obeidallah Show, where we crush Trump's lies every single day.
On SiriusXM Progress 127.
You know what?
I'm Dean Obeidallah. I want to be your MBFF, and I'm really needy.
First, you gotta follow him on Twitter at Dean Obeidallah or catch him on Facebook at facebook.com/Dean of Radio.
And welcome back, Dean Obeidallah Show. We're live Monday, March 18th. Before we get back to our great guests, Aisha and Danielle Moodie-Mills, quick thing, folks. How would you like a great toothbrush? A toothbrush I can personally vouch for because I use every single day. That's Quip, Q-U-I-P. It is light. It is sleek. It is battery powered, but it feels like electric. I call it the toothbrush of the future. That's how great it is. It takes up like no room on your bathroom cabinet there, or your vanity. Here's the thing. You can try it 30 days risk-free. If you don't love it like I do, you get a full refund. But it's got sensitive sonic vibrations, so if you have any gum issues, which I do, it's actually great for that. It helps your gums be healthy and your teeth are healthy. And press the button, perfect brush every time. 2-minute brush. That's what dentists recommend. And every 3 months, for just $5, they send you a replacement toothbrush. Again, dentists recommend that. So go to getquip.com, getquip.com/Dean, get the first refill for free. But check out the website. It starts at $25. You can't beat the prices. And I'm telling you, I've been using it now over a year since they've been on the show, and it's great. Go to getquip.com/Dean. That's getquip.com/Dean. Aisha and Danielle Moodie-Mills still here in the studio. You guys all right? What's going on?
We are. Danielle is being called out on the tweets.
By who? What the? I had a liberal call me out earlier because he was upset that someone called up African-American guy, Jeremy, and said that in the GOP, there's white extremists, but he said in the Democratic Party, there's white supremacists. And I didn't push back on it according to the list. And I go, first of all, I am a progressive first. I am a supporter of the Democratic Party because that's where the progressives are. But secondly, I'm not going to deny the truth of Jeremy or anyone who says, like Rashida Tlaib, who's a Muslim congressman, was on Jake Tapper on Sunday and said there are Islamophobes in the Democratic Party. Some Democrats got upset. She's telling you the truth. She's not making it up. She's a Democrat.
They're tweeting at her.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
they're her colleagues that don't want her there.
So the Democratic Party is, our leader's not a white supremacist. Our leader's not a bigot, and we will push back against bigotry and hatred. They don't, but it's not. There's not the equivalency. But yes, there are. Are there any doubt in your mind there are some white supremacists who are Democrats?
Here's my problem with this whole conversation. This is my problem when people try to force us into this conversation, Dean, is that anybody who retorts when you say, yo, you hurt my feelings, and they say, well, so what? Because remember that time when you hurt my feelings, right? Is like a complete, like, making up a false equivalency,
right.
And then essentially ignoring your original grievance that they don't then have to deal with to go and like pretend that their feelings matter more. And I feel like every time someone says, well, I know we are, but so are you, right? It's a way that they don't have to address the real issue, which is like, okay, we can talk about that 3 days from now. But right now we're talking about the fact that you run with fools and you run with them, you condone them, you allow these people to lead, you follow them. And that's the real conversation we want to have here that you don't want to have, which is why you're trying to make us look a different way.
Oh, that's the issue that you talk about. All right. So let's talk about the issue I want to talk about here, about where are we going towards now, November 3rd, 2020. Like during the campaign, I don't want to play all the clips of Donald Trump calling for violence. I will play one 10-second clip to me, which really is the essence of what Donald Trump is about. And just listen to this 10-second clip. Let's play it, Matt.
You know what? The audience swung back. And I thought it was very, very appropriate. The audience hit back. And that's what we need a little bit more of.
That's what we need a little bit more of. To me, all the other clips do not matter. That 10 seconds sums up. And that's when he was a candidate, when he really didn't think he was going to win, frankly. What do you think he will say to hold on to power?
I think that he will say anything to hold on to power. And as a matter of fact, when Michael Cohen was testifying before the Government Oversight Committee, the House Committee, and he said that he does not believe that there will be a tranquil transfer of power.
Right.
Right? When he made reference to that, there was a woman that was sitting far back, but in the camera shot. And he said peaceful,
exactly.
He said peaceful transition of power, which we've always had in the United States, right? When there is an election and somebody who is an incumbent loses, we do we'll give you the tour of the White House, we'll do the thing. Melania will give you an awkward fucking gift that then you have to hold on to for the whole entire time. But like, nonetheless, that's what happens. And when Michael Cohen made reference to the fact that he did not believe that there would be a peaceful transition of power, we all need to listen to that and not just gloss over it and pretend that we did not hear this. When Donald Trump is talking about biker gangs are for him and real,
I can read the whole quote.
Yeah,
Here's the actual quote Donald Trump said to Breitbart last week. I can tell you I have the support of the police, the support of the military, the support of the bikers for Trump. I have the tough people, but they don't play it tough until they go to a certain point. And then it would be very bad, very bad.
Right. And so what is Donald Trump doing there, right? Is saying, I got everybody in my arsenal that I need to fight on my behalf because I'm a mobster, right? Because I'm the Teflon Don, and I have everybody in my stable that is getting ready to crush heads. And remember what he said to the Suffolk County police officers out on Long Island.
Yep, right.
If you have to arrest somebody, you got to rough them up a little bit. Well, so be it. They deserve it, right? So he has already been sowing the seeds of violence through his a campaign and during his administration. And the media has been too chicken shit to actually call him out and call a spade and say, wait a minute, you have not only over 50 million followers on Twitter and Instagram and whatever social media platforms, but you actually have the bullhorn of the Oval Office. And here you are getting ready to incite violence, which is illegal. That is equivalent to shouting fire in a movie theater. And so why we in the media are not calling attention to the fact that Donald Trump is no longer using dog whistles, but he is using the bullhorn of the Oval Office to incite violence, right? And then you have Steve King, who I know that you're going to get to today, with his civil rights, quote unquote, his civil rights meme, talking about the fact that talking about the Civil War meme, talking about the fact that the red states have what? According
8 trillion bullets.
8 trillion bullets. 8 trillion bullets on our side, and the left doesn't know where to use the bathroom. That was Steve King, sitting congressman's Civil War meme.
Here's the thing, is that I want to stop using our platforms to beat up on our colleagues and ourselves in the media. Because what I'm finding is that the last couple of months, I'm finding that we all keep going, oh, the media, oh, CNN, oh, whatever. The truth is that the only people talking about this are those of us who are in the media who have like a conscience. You know who we need to be kicking their asses and beating up on? Who? Are all the Republicans who are saying nothing. We're all the Republicans, and let's even just dial it back pre-Trump, right? Remember when Sarah Palin put Gabby Giffords in the crosshairs?
Yep.
And unfortunately, Congresswoman Gabby Giffords almost lost her life to some maniac who shot her in the face?
Yep.
Republicans have been inciting violence and literally inciting people
away with it.
To go after Democrats and others for years now. And where are all of their Republican colleagues? Steve King, I haven't heard much as a peep. They finally supposedly censored him like a couple of months ago, but this cat has been saying ridiculous, racist, hateful, horrible, like xenophobic stuff since he has been a public person. So I would like to see us not keep beating, because Trump is doing enough of beating up the fake media, blah, blah, blah. I would like us to stop blaming the media for the political outcomes of what we see and actually start blaming the politicians for it and like holding them accountable.
Fair assessment.
And with Steve King, the congressman who defended white supremacy, literally defended Donald Trump when asked about it, said, I wasn't following it, and then has never denounced it since. And that was just a month ago. And so you don't need any more evidence of who Donald Trump is.
No.
He showed us time and time and time again, and the base he wants to embolden the white supremacist, and he is a white supremacist. And that, not in the sense of burning a cross on a lawn, that would actually be different. It'd be less powerful than what he has. He has the pulpit of the White House and policy. So he can try to change policy, have a Muslim ban, build a wall, use our money, violate the Constitution to build a wall to make white supremacists happy. And you can frame it any way you want in the terms of, here are really public policy considerations of why we have to do it. But people have done that to defend racism and bigotry for years and years and years in this country. So we know what it is. And I don't know what's going to take for the media to stop debate. Do you think he's a racist? I mean, like, I cannot believe you. What? I have to go to a break now. Someone call me.
But that's what I'm saying with regard to the media. It's not about beating them up, but it's about saying, do your goddamn job, right? And ask the actual tough questions that are going to force people to actually take pause and say, wait a minute, this isn't normal. The president of the United States and his mouthpieces are not supposed to be telling us to go read a white supremacist manifesto and think for ourselves around it. They're not supposed to be using the bully pulpit of the Oval Office to be spreading hate and misogyny and xenophobia. That when people are killed, right, around the world or in our own backyard, that we offer sincere condolences and name the group of people that were harmed. Right? We don't just say, well, so sorry, New Zealanders, what happened? No, we say, my God, to the Muslim community, the fear and anxiety and stress and sadness that you must be feeling in this very moment. I am here with you. We are you. We are here, we are here to uplift you and to hold you in this time of great grief, right? That's what leaders do.
Instead, he tweeted, I stand with New Zealand. We have solidarity with the New Zealand people. The reality, the people who were hurt were 50 Muslims who were killed in that. And I guess maybe it was a step better than find people on both sides. At least he didn't say that. I mean, this is the remarkable thing of where we live in today. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk about how the media was clutching their pearls over Donald Trump's attack on John McCain, as if that's not what the whole entire Trump base loves and is about. They make it seem like he's an outlier, how cruel he is. We'll come back and talk about CPAC for a second, remind people how Michelle Malkin and the entire GOP that's still left there loves this garbage. Let's take a break and come back.
Dean Obadala Show on Sirius XM Progress 127.
Back to the Dean Obadala Show on Sirius XM Progress.
And welcome back, Dean Obadala Show. We're here live Monday, March 18th in studio, and you can watch them on Facebook.com/Dina Radio is Aisha Moodie-Mills and Danielle Moodie-Mills. You know them, the Moodie-Mills, and they're here. So let's do a new segment I call Destroying Media Narratives. Destroying Media Narratives, one from the right and one from the left. Here is the one that people on the media now talk about on the left, and even some left-leaning hosts and said it. I actually pushed back on air. I might not be back on that person's show. Because the person goes, well, are you afraid of Democrats going too far left? I go, that's a right-wing talking point. I actually said it, and it was to the guy you were on his show yesterday, who's a really nice guy. We get along well.
Oh, I love him.
But I said to him, that's
him.
a right-wing talking point. This idea that the Democrats might be going too left, to me, and tell me if it's wrong, it's a media narrative that should be ultimately destroyed. Isn't it about policies? It's not. We're not going too far. How define what is too far left? Because I even said, do you mean healthcare for all? Do you mean raising minimum wage to $15?
Yes, that's exactly what they mean.
You mean raising tax on the uber wealthy? You know what? Majority of Americans on both sides support that.
Right.
But now we're too left. So how do you, when you hear that, are you going too left? Is that to you a media narrative that's trying to define us as being out of step with the rest of America?
Yeah, I honestly have oftentimes believed it is a right-wing talking point, but it is also the idea that, making a table that is too big, having a tent that is too big, where equality is too vast and everybody has too many rights and everybody is treated too much of the same, as like if they are full and complete American citizens, is just too much, right? And so it's this idea, and we hear this with the call for Biden, right, as a presidential candidate. We hear that Democrats need to be careful not to go too far to the left because the center is like where we're going to compromise. And I'm saying, with who though? Because your party the pendulum swung so far to the right, it might as well have moved in a circle. Like, so how is it that us saying that you're trying to take us back to the 1950s in terms of your policy measures in making sure that only the top can succeed, only white men have success and access, and women are just, left to kind of figure out their reproductive care and health on their own.
But white women don't give a damn about that
and that
anyway,
we don't, and that people of color don't have voting rights or access to college and higher education. So how is that too far left? And so I challenge people, much in the same way that you, Dean, and say, well, what do you mean by that? Because when we're looking at racial wealth disparities, when we're looking at wealth disparity in general, we know that the trickle down doesn't work, right? But yet we've been propagating these policies on the right and the left for 30 years. Since Reagan, we've been saying, oh, no. We need deregulation in order to make sure that like workers are going to get are going to get something. Right?
I think the whole point of what, I think, not a counterpoint so much as, Danielle likes to go on and on. It's very simple. Whenever people, and I would say kind of to some degree on both sides, but whenever we actually start putting people back into politics, like the actual P, right? The small P, people into politics, all power for all the people, whether that be through policy, whether that be through access, etc. Most folks start getting freaked out because the United States of America's demographics are shifting and all the people are now really, really brown. And at the end of the day, if we start talking about all people, we're getting too left because we're giving the browns too many things. And that is what it boils down to. And so I think that there is a position that is really comfortable hugging corporations, that's really in this nebulous gray that ain't about people at all. It's not about this so-called middle class. It's about like making sure that this quote unquote free enterprise and that businesses get to do whatever the hell they want is a really gray nebulous area for people to feel comfortable playing in because they don't have to focus on the politics of the people. Because if we start talking about real people, well, that's going to get a little dicey for folks.
I had on, before you came on, Maurice Mitchell, who's the new national director of the Working Families Party. And it was the exact same thing. Because they're neither Democrat nor Republican, although they endorse candidates who are also Democrats, but their whole thing is about giving the power back to the people. Income inequality, addressing that, criminal justice reform, and the list goes on. All right, so we just destroyed that media narrative. Here's another media narrative I want to take on. That Donald Trump attacking John McCain he's such an outlier. It's so far afield of where the Republican parties, they recognize him as a great man. I want to play Michelle Malkin at CPAC just a few weeks ago. Clip number 3, please.
Cities have metastasized, and both parties are to blame. And yes, I'm looking at you, retired Paul Ryan. And yes, I'm looking at you, Mitch McConnell. And yes, I'm looking at you, Bush family. And yes, I'm looking at you, the ghost of John McCain.
And she got a standing ovation.
So
okay?
is her point that cities are bad and that urbanization has cities have metastasized?
I don't even know what she was saying.
So is what she's saying that we all should be, kind of living on farms, right? Because this idea of living in cities is bad. And to every one of you who've pushed policies that have tried to urbanize communities, you suck. What the hell is she talking about?
All I know is that she was going after the ghost of John McCain, and the crowd went crazy at CPAC for that. So when Donald Trump attacks John McCain and the media goes, oh, I can't believe it. This is what they're about. Why do we play these games? In fact, yesterday I didn't get to make that point because they ran out of time when they were talking to the other person. Are you shocked by her attack on John McCain? John Trump's attack on John McCain? No.
I think that
why would you be surprised?
I think that what we have come to is that we are just shocked that there is no end in the abyss of how low Trump will go, right? I think that it's, every once in a while we pinch ourselves and we say, really, even a dead man, even a dead veteran, you're gonna continue the attacks that you had on him while he was alive throughout his cancer treatment, and now even he's been buried 7 months, and you can't let that shit go. I think that it's not the it is the shock of, my God, is there no bottom to this hell?
No.
Guys,
I think that's the shock.
I'm not even shocked by Donald Trump anymore. Maybe this is just me being kind of desensitized to it. I got to tell you, I am actually really, really shocked by the Republican Party and everybody in this country who calls themselves a goddamn conservative and their tolerance for this malarkey. I am shocked by it because I came up in a political. Use of the word malarkey. I know I was going to say something nastier, but that's all I could come up with.
That's very Joe Biden-esque type of word.
I grew up. I grew up as a baby in this political game at a time when I actually knew Republicans and we chatted and had drinks with them, and they weren't horrible, despicable people, all of them, so much as we just didn't agree on the same, policy solutions for things. But these were not indecent, immoral people per se. This mess that's going on, I am shocked by the silence. I'm shocked by the tolerance. I want to go out and punch them all in the face because
can't do
I
that.
don't know.
There's no violence.
No, but I feel like they've been brainwashed and they're kind of moving through the
you
world.
mean to wake them up,
right?
not to hurt them.
I want to
Throw
grab
a
them and
bucket of
shake
water.
them because I feel like they're just kind of moving through the world in their sleep. Yeah,
I like.
Shaking
By the way,
Republican day.
when we talk about Donald Trump though, matching up to the GOP or moving them in the same direction as him. Donald Trump talked about white nationalism, and he's white. Here's Matt Schlapp, the head of CPAC.
Oh, God, Matt.
2 weeks ago about nationalism. And I bet you a year or two ago, Matt Schlapp would have never said that. But now that they all are the party of Trump, the GOP is Trump and Trump is the GOP. Listen to Matt Schlapp defending nationalism. This is clip number 4 at CPAC.
The theme today is America First. What is the message, Matt?
The message today is we're going back on this question of some people say, well, is CPAC all just about President Trump and MAGA? And we're taking a step back and asking what actually makes America great. And what we believe is that going back to foundational principles of the Constitution, which includes securing borders, it includes embracing the idea that America is a nation and there's nothing wrong with nationalism.
There's nothing wrong with nationalism. And we know what he's saying. Everyone knows what he's saying.
This clown is making a lot of money. I remember
Yes, he
Matt
is.
Schlapp before he was.
Oh, you
and
knew
we
him?
used to do MSNBC together all the time. And now that this guy's got this job, he's resurrected and polished off and he's making a ton of money for his family. He's going to say whatever the hell he needs to say. And maybe he is totally radicalized in it. But at the end of the day, these people are all clowns who are making a lot of money off of these really, really, really dangerous alliances. And it's so problematic to me because at the end of the day, it's all about money. It's the same thing with the crazy black Republicans too.
Are there any black Republicans that you know that you respect? I mean, is there?
Well, yes. I just had Michael Steele up at Harvard.
Oh, of course, he's a great guy. He's
Up
such a
at
good
Harvard.
guy.
Michael Steele's the only black Republican.
Michael Steele's
I like.
the only one.
But he's not even. Well, sure, Michael's a nice guy. I've had him on the show.
Sure, Michael is good
Sure,
too.
Michael.
Let me
Yeah.
say that.
That's
Sure,
it.
Michael is good too.
Yeah.
Sure, Michael and Michael.
There
They're
we go.
holding it down. There we
Diamond
go.
and Silk. Trump retweeted them. Look at Danielle. You can't see her Facebook. Maybe you can on Facebook. But it was. I think we talked about her, didn't we, before? Oh, maybe Aisha did. So, all right, let's take a break. When we come back, we've got to talk about another media narrative. And that's Beto O'Rourke and what's going on. And the article's written that it was sexist, all the coverage he got. That's the way it's being used, or somehow that he's got male privilege, whatever you want to call it, but that's what's going on. And that's a fine discussion, but I just don't want, my point is have that discussion, but don't make it seem like Beto's responsible for that.
Right.
It's the media that's responsible. If you want to be upset with it, I get it, but let's take a break and come back right after this on Dino Bidala Show. At this point, the question is not who connected to Donald Trump as a criminal. The question is anyone connected to Donald Trump who's not a criminal?
The Dean Obeidallah Show. Sirius XM Progress. You're listening to the Dean Obeidallah Show on Sirius XM's Progress.
And welcome back, Dean Obeidallah Show. We're live Monday, March 18th, here in our studio. Our friend Aisha Moodie-Mills and Danielle Moodie-Mills. So let's talk about Betomania and what's going on. And the media covered him a lot. That's very true. Mm-hmm. And there were more than one article about, is it white privilege? All this cover, is it male privilege? It's bro privilege. I saw all these things. I saw that too.
Is bro privilege different than male privilege?
It's like white bro privilege. It's like a different level. Like he's a bro, and he seems like a nice enough guy and all that. And to me, I'm wondering, watching this, going like, is this gonna hurt Beto? The media can get ratings, so they liked him. He ended up raising $6.1 million in the first 24 hours, more than even Bernie Sanders, who raised $5.9 million, eclipsing everyone. Now, you can argue that a lot of that's because of all the coverage he got. What is your take on all the coverage? Do you fault Beto for any of that?
Fault is not a word. Well, let me tell you.
What's your reaction? You have to say fault. There's no allocation of fault.
So here's just one thing that I just want to say to your audience, Dean, is just to remind everybody that his name is Richard O'Rourke. Richard O'Rourke.
Richard Francis O'Rourke.
Richard Francis O'Rourke is an Irishman. So I just wanted to be super clear about that, because the thing that I get anxious about is when I see all this hype around Beto and people are trying to make him like the great Latino hope, and he's like totally not, even though he's from El Paso.
But they like him in Texas. I've talked to a lot of people in Texas.
Sure, it's not about whether we like him or whether we don't like him. He's electrifying. He's got some things to say, and it's great that he can say them on a big stage.
Right.
I just get anxious that he's also, people talk about the white privilege piece, and I think a piece of this white privilege that he's rolling with is that he gets to be a white man who uses a Latino nickname, and that gives him some kind of street cred, and I take issue with that.
But he's had that name since he was not like recent, like was a kid.
Yeah, and I want to also be clear that his name is Richard Francis O'Rourke.
So does Fox News. That's interesting where you line up Aisha and Moodie-Mills on this. And then, because they do. Hogan Gidley was on and said his name is Robert Francis, not Beto, which I didn't even know was an abbreviation for Roberto.
So our friend on this station as well has said that Beto is a nickname that is used for Robert and
Roberto.
and he's like, you know, how
Jorge likes him a lot.
Yeah, Jorge's like, he's like, I don't understand. He's like, maybe that's my Latinx privilege, that I understand that has always been a nickname, and it's not like nobody's trying to I essentially get over. If you live in that area, you're bred in that area, like that's the name. Just like Pete Buttigieg, he's not going by, you know, Peter or whatever it is.
He's not going by Pedro.
But that would be wrong, because he's not in an area that is as mixed and as
if Barack Obama had run for office as Barry, people would be like, dude, why are you trying to go as Barry? How come?
Well, that would be hiding, but that would be trying to.
But he also was
mainstreaming his name.
But all I'm saying is this: is that I don't think that Beto O'Rourke has been trying to play that he is Latino. What I will say is that. I think that the fervor around him is the fervor that is always given to young white guys.
Okay.
Everybody is looking for the young white hope to come and once again save the Democratic Party from itself. Because I don't understand why there is so much energy around him, and we weren't also pleading for Stacey Abrams to run and for Andrew Gillum to run, who also, both of them ran amazing campaigns and also happened to lose, right? And lose because of voter suppression and all of these things, but lose nonetheless. And everybody's like, Beto. Why isn't there? All I ask is, why isn't there the same energy around Stacey, and Andrew as there is around Beto? And the only thing that I can come up with of that is because he is white, and that's the reality. But I don't.
I think if Stacey ran, though, there'd be a lot of energy.
Oh, I think which is why I think that Stacey dipped her toe in the water the other day and said, well, I'm not ruling it out. And I think that's why she did that, because people have been saying, if Beto can run and everybody's so excited about him running, why can't you run? Right? Like, why do you have to wait for 2028? And
also her
quote unquote, wait
response to
your
the State
turn.
of the Union was great. Mm-hmm. And she hit a home
it was
run
fantastic.
There. So right there, people didn't know her. All of a sudden, everyone knew her.
Yep.
And there's a reason why she was invited to give that response, and Beto wasn't.
Well, and so I think it's interesting if Stacey, I don't know if she'll run her now or not. I find it just interesting, all these intersections we have in our own Democratic Party, where that it comes up even among ourselves. Like, well, he's got white privilege going on here. I'm like, oh, that's fair enough to talk about that.
I'm always the first person to claim like white privilege something, right? Like I'm always calling people out about this. And what's interesting about Beto and hey, it's just another, it's white privilege, is I think that the fact that it's been Biden, Bernie, Beto in the conversation has all been about somebody looking for a white man to save their asses.
That's what I'm saying.
At the same time, though, what's interesting, and we're going to see this come up, I think, as Pete Buttigieg starts to get more airplay and like stands on the stage. I think what there is also, there's a bit of a ageism too that's going to start to play out.
That's true.
To the fact that this guy is actually really young and energetic and dynamic. Let's not forget Kamala Harris's like coming out, her big announcement as president. There's something about seeing someone who is a bit more dynamic and young and energetic kind of stumping that I think that people are liking. So
they are. But don't forget, the last great hope for the Democratic Party was Barack Obama. Who was black, and he got an inordinate amount of media coverage. And I know there were Hillary supporters who I'm sure had their own reasoning, that male privilege. They weren't even talking about black male privilege then. So sometimes our point of view on it sometimes is shaded by where we stand on an issue. Other times it's just objective. But Aisha and Danielle, thank you. It was such an honor to have you both in studio for the whole hour. Check it out, facebook.com/Dean of Radio. And check out Danielle's show every Sunday.
Sunday Woke AF.
And check
the
out
Sunday
Aisha
Morning
on,
Alarm to the Resistance.
They're both on cable all the time, but you see Aisha all the time. She was literally on Hardball before she came here. Thank you guys both for coming. Tomorrow, back all new live show. Thanks for tuning in. I'm on Twitter at Dino Bidala. Where are you guys?
At D2 Cents.
At Aisha Moodie-Mills.
Thanks a lot. Have a great night.